Jews. All Jews don't agree. That's a preposterous and I would say anti-Semitic thing to say. I have Jewish family who, hold on.
Hang on. Can I explain myself, given that you've just suggested I might have been anti-Semitic? Can I explain why I asked you the difference in that particular instance between Israeli and Jewish?
Recently, Cenk Uygur appeared on British media following the news about him and his nephew Hassan being prohibited from entering the UK. In the clip, we observe the host posing a question with ill intentions, attempting to catch Cenk off guard. However, Cenk responds flawlessly, thoroughly addressing the question and effectively dodging the trap set for him. As always, let's view the clip in its entirety, and I'll share my thoughts at the conclusion. Let's dive in.
When you said, your critics say that you said that 94% of Congress is essentially funded by Israel. Do you mean Jews via lobby groups? Because that's different, isn't it? Jewish people in America who have stuff to say, like other lobby groups have stuff to say, that's slightly different, isn't it, than Israel controls Congress. Do you really mean Jews control Congress?
Yeah, no, look, not at all, and I'll tell you why.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'll tell you why. So two reasons. Number one, as I explained to everyone, this actually at the core of it has nothing to do with Israel. Israel's the tip of the iceberg. It's a symptom. The cause of the problem is the money in politics, corruption. Literally anyone can buy our politicians. If Britain wanted to, you could buy our politicians. So, and everyone has bought our politicians. They're the most deeply corrupt people on planet Earth. So all the Israeli lobby has done is figure out the same thing as the drug companies, etc. Hey, these guys are up for sale. And you'd actually be irrational if you weren't buying American politicians. Now, why is it not all Jews? Well, of course it's not all Jews. All Jews don't agree. That's a preposterous and I would say anti-Semitic thing to say. I have Jewish family who, hold on.
Can I explain myself, given that you've just suggested I might have been anti-Semitic? Can I explain why I asked you the difference in that particular instance between Israeli and Jewish? Is that when you talk about Israel buying Congress, that conjures a particular thing. But if American Jews want to donate to AIPAC, want to donate and lobby politicians, that's perfectly acceptable. That's why I asked you that distinction. It's not because I'm anti-Semitic.
Okay, so let's break that down a little bit further, okay? So number one, like I said, anyone can purchase Congress. So that if you're an American citizen, you can do that. But does that mean that so does that mean that they represent all Jewish people? Of course not. Some of the best fighters in the peace movement and against Israel's war crimes are Jewish folks, both in America and in the UK. Zach Polanski is terrific, the leader of the Green Party. Bernie Sanders is terrific. Literally, some of our best fighters are Jewish Americans, Jewish Brits, etc. I have Jewish family. I grew up with nothing but Jewish friends, and they're not for these wars. They're not for this genocide. So are most of the people contributing to AIPAC and the Israeli lobby Jewish? Probably, but not all. There's tons of Christian Zionists, and they also contribute. So what unites them is not their religion. What unites them is their ideology, which is Zionism in this case.
Can I ask you, you use the word genocide there, and again, your critics who say this is a justified ban, again, we don't know the reasons for the ban, but your critics say that you describe the nation of Israel's actions as genocide, and you're within your rights to do so. It's not been established as truth, but you're within your rights to do so.
It's definitely true.
All right, we'll let the ICC make the judgment in the appropriate way. You've described Israel as barbaric and savage. You've claimed Israel uses Jews as human shields. You've claimed that the global war on terror was a global war against Israel's enemies, that America... we've talked about Congress. You talked about it being occupied by Israel. On those words, your critics claim that you're sitting dangerously close to the kind of language that is creating the kind of conspiratorial fever that's led to a huge amount of anti-Semitism on our streets. Now, we cannot lay all of that. We cannot lay all of that at your feet. Of course, we can't. But do you ever question the language you use?
No, not at all. I question whether it should be tougher. We're all going to ask ourselves later, what did we do to stop a genocide? A genocide was happening not only in our lives, but with our money, especially if you're an American. They're literally robbing us to pay for the most disgusting genocide you'll ever see. And so what people who are Zionists and fervent supporters of Israel do is they hide behind anti-Semitism, and they use anti-Semitism as a weaponized charge to defend the disgusting, immoral actions of a foreign government. Governments do terrible things. They don't represent all the people in that government. I was born in Turkey, and I'm an American citizen now, but my God, I hope that people don't judge me as a Turk based on the Turkish government, or even based as an American based on what the American government has done. This is obvious to any elementary thinker, except the Israeli propagandists try to manipulate everyone by saying, no, the only country on earth you're not allowed to criticize is Israel, because we're going to hide behind Jewish civilians. And by the way, cause them harm because you don't represent them and you're pretending to.
For what it's worth, and
I'll leave this here and make sure to drop a link in the description so you can catch the entire interaction if you're interested. But it's crucial to grasp the context of that loaded question. Do you mean Jews? Every time someone critiques the Israeli government's actions in Gaza, this question pops up. Even though she tries to sugarcoat it, it's always posed in bad faith. It's a clever trap meant to paint any critic as anti-Semitic the second they respond. However, expertly navigated his response. He stayed calm, didn't over-explain, mentioned Jewish anti-war leaders by name, clearly distinguished between Israel and Judaism, and flipped the question into a compelling peace movement argument. That's the ideal way to respond without losing composure or falling into the host's potential setup. Cenk really did an impressive job in the clip. Regarding the topic of genocide, it's baffling and genuinely disturbing that there are adults today who actually believe it's not happening now or hasn't happened. Here are some notable organizations that have identified Israel's actions in Gaza as genocide. The UN's Independent International Commission on the Occupied Palestinian Territory, the UN Special Committee, UN Special Rapporteur, Amnesty International, the Israeli human rights group Tselem, Physicians for Human Rights, the International Association of Genocide Scholars, and the ICJ. These are respected groups that have classified Israel's ongoing actions since October 7th as genocide. The most alarming aspect is that when you analyze what's happening in Lebanon, it fits into the broader agenda of expanding Israel's boundaries. That's the plan. Expansion, more land, and widened borders. Cenk's statements hold significant weight, and it's encouraging to see him speak up and resist attempts to skew the narrative by delivering his truth. Be sure to subscribe to my channel, and I'll catch you in the next video.